Think we're live. Good morning, Elle Ingalls here. It is a Monday if you're watching live. If you're watching the replay, thank you for coming here, tuning in. This is quarter three of my pressure-free planner. I've created four 90-day planners. Two of them are on Amazon, Q1, Q2. And so they're available for purchase, which is something new I'm doing. I'm going to get quarter three and quarter four up there for sure. But I still find little edit problems, so little mistakes. Um, I wanted to share about how to make dreams come true because yesterday our eldest son ran an Ironman. What did he do? He swam, he biked, he ran. He completed an Ironman. For those of you who don't know, it's about a 2 mile swim, 120-mile bike ride, and then you run a marathon at the end for fun. Took him almost 17 hours, 16 hours, 43 minutes, made it just before the cutoff. So completed it. 20% of the people who started didn't complete it. And there's no shame in starting and not finishing because it is truly grueling. Um, but he started writing this as a goal. By the way, he had never run a triathlon before. He'd never swum competitively or biked competitively ever. But 3 years ago, he started writing a goal every day that he wanted to complete an Ironman. It's just a goal that he wanted to make happen. And that got me thinking about this planner. So on one page of the planner, this is day 229, if you're tuning in live, of the year. I have a quote at the top, an inspirational quote. It's, "You don't understand anything until you learn it more than one way." That's from Marvin Minsky, an AI scientist. I wrote this back in what, 2022? So before AI was really even coming into everybody's lexicon. Um, and then I have a musing on that. So I share my thoughts. And then I have some affirmations. And sometimes these are really key for my clients. I remember one of my clients would circle one of the three, and that would be like their affirmation for the day. But you can write any affirmation that you want for your day on this planner. There's a line for that, a space for that. But this thing here is reflecting back on this. It's like, how can you expand the ways that you learn? So I ask a question that I consider an empowering question to help get our minds going in an empowering way, rather than questions like this. Why am I so stupid? Why can't I get this project done? Why is my team so slow? Like all these questions that can pop into our heads that are not empowering. So I always include an empowering question just to get that practice going of asking that type of question. And then the next area here, it's my targets for today, goals, dreams, visions. This is to be very fluid and top of mind. You could write the same goals every day for years, like my son did. For 3 years, he wrote complete an Ironman triathlon. That was a goal of his. Um, you could have just something top of mind for the day. You could have a place you want to visit. You could have a dream that you feel could never come true, but you write it anyway. So that's for this area right here. And then below that is actions I commit to today. So if you can look at your goals, dreams, and visions and ask yourself, what are one or two things that I could commit to doing today that forward any of them? So let's say I want to take a trip to Haiti. I might write, um, explore or go on the internet to find a place to stay. Just could be find Airbnb or something like that. Just one little item, just something that just takes a few minutes. Doesn't have to take long, but it's building momentum toward these goals, these dreams, these visions that you have for yourself or for your family or for your company or for your team. That it doesn't just have to be for yourself. You could have a goal that brings a lot of people in. And then the next line, and this is actually something that my son, who just ran or ran, I can't say ran, completed the Ironman. He had me add this, acknowledging what might stop me. That's a pretty interesting one. It's funny when I answer that question, like, okay, so what might stop me today from taking those actions? Typically, the word I write is laziness. One of my colleagues goes, "Elle, you are so not lazy." But I'm like, I feel like sometimes I'm just kind of like, oh, I really should do that, but I'm not going to do it today. Kind of that kind of a feeling. So if I acknowledge it, by the way, a phrase I say to my clients, shared this with someone the other day and they just loved it. I go, acknowledgement sets you free. If you acknowledge something that's just not working for you or not happening for you or is tough. It's like a samskara in Hindu, just a place where you're stuck. If you can acknowledge that, it can truly set you free because now you can ask those empowering questions to get you up and over the hurdle of whatever it is. And then the last thing is, what's a pressure-free tool or the pressure-free tools I'll use today? So that's just a reminder, like what tools are going to be important. A lot of times for me, I'll just write ribs up. And that means that I'm elevating my ribs away from my hips and I'm elongating the front of my body. And that is a game changer in every way. Maybe it's head up. I keep my head up quite a bit because I raise my computer screen up. I try to bring my phone up, but that's huge to keep your head up instead of down on your laptops or phones or whatever. Get your head up. So it could be as simple as that, or it might be spirit of contribution. How can I contribute today? So whatever tools like the one that can work for you, that's what you can add in there. So that's this page. And then this page is actually a calendar page to work on what actions you have, what 10-minute actions, what can you chunk out today? What's your most important thing? You could do that on the other page. And that's where you also write those adjectives that describe, or adjectives or adverbs that describe how you want to be while you're in your time blocks. So if you're in a meeting with your team, how do you really want to be? Not the outcome of the meeting, but how do you want to be that whole time? So I write words like fantastic, amazing, fabulous, exquisite. Like I just want to be in that whole time block, present in the moment, and not all jacked up on adrenaline and out of my mind and not paying attention. So that's what you do on this side of the page. So that is the planner. It's like this. If you go onto Amazon, oops, looks like this. Where is it? Everything is kind of backwards when you do this. Yeah, there we go. Um, so that is the planner. You can catch Q1 and Q2 on Amazon, and it's a workbook. You can just write right in it. Um, I'm also launching my workbook, but it's not quite ready. I'm getting my first author copy to make sure it's going to be okay. Um, So back to this idea of dreams. I am so amazed at what happens for my clients, for my family, when they actually pay attention, spend that little bit of writing time, and for myself too, and actually write down what it is we desire, what it is we want. Because so much of the time we are not we are not choosing. We are not choosing how we feel. We're not choosing even what we do in our days. We're letting everything else control us. The one thing we can start to control is the release of the stress response so that we can choose our emotion in these time blocks, in these days. So for dreams, one of the first things I do with clients is just open up like what feels impossible? Like what would you really like to have happen health-wise, wealth-wise? Relationship wise? Like, what do you really want to see happen? And it can feel hard for people to sometimes answer that. Sometimes people say, I don't even know what I want, Elle. They'll say, but I know I want to feel happier, or I know I just want to feel less anxious or less stressed or less depressed. Like emotionally, what do you want? Now that's an amazing target to have. And you could write it every day. How do you want to feel? How do you want to be? Like what? And sometimes you can get to it by asking yourself, what don't I want? But I want to talk a bit about a big dream for a moment. I'm going to share another story of my son. He's told this story to places where I've had him speak. So I belong to a mastermind of high-level business coaches, and uh, we had him as one of our speakers. We had my son as one of the speakers, and he shared this story about my retreat. By the way, I still have a couple spots open for my September retreat. Grab them now. Just DM me. I can give you all the information. We can talk about it and I can share what it's about. But I host these retreats in September. It's going to be in Pentwater, Michigan. I host these retreats And at one of them, I had Hugh coach a session on dreams, on goal setting and dreams. So the exercise he gave us was to go off. So we're all in a room together, and it's like everybody go off and write and describe a day and time 10 years from now that is like your most amazing and ideal moment. So anything at all. It was very free form, anything at all, but 10 years into the future. So we all went out and did that. And when we came back, we all shared. So one of the people in the group, who was my client Emma, she shared that she wanted to be on a beach in Hawaii. She is a skier. She's skied all over the world, but she's never been to Hawaii. So she was imagining a beautiful Hawaiian beach, and she created that whole vision for herself. So we go around the circle, and my son was last, and he shared that he imagined himself in a cool neon ski suit looking out over the Alps in Switzerland, and he's in this cool lodge or chalet. So that was his vision. The retreat ends, everybody goes home. Emma goes back to northern Canada. Um, and a few weeks later, I get a text from my son. He goes, I'm flying to Saas-Fee, Switzerland. Emma is coaching there, and I'm going to spend a week with her. So he ended up looking out from the lodge over the valley and the ski mountains and the Alps, which was his dream that he said he wanted 10 years into the future, just a few weeks in to writing it. He just didn't have the neon suit because we're not 10 years in the future. Oh, I'm sure he could have found one somewhere, probably from the 70s. So that was his vision. So then they get back from that. Emma's back in Northern Ontario, Hugh's back in Michigan. And our youngest, who was at Columbia at the time, he posts out going to run the Honolulu Marathon. Who's in? You can run the 10K. And so Hugh texts Emma and says, how about running the 10K in Honolulu? My brother's running the marathon. So she's all in. So four of them, my son, his roommate, my other son Hugh, and Emma, they go to Hawaii and they run the 10K. And Emma's on the beach in Hawaii exactly, and I'll tell this in a moment, exactly 6 months from when the dream was. So let's go back to the Pentwater retreat where Hugh has had everybody share what their dream is for 10 years in the future. And he said, well, what if you could make that happen in 6 months? So a 10-year vision happening in 6 months. So that's what I have for you today. This idea of dream big, think out a time frame, but then be open to it happening far sooner than you thought. Back in 1991, I wrote that I wanted to create a music school before I turned 50, or by the time I turned 50. And I wrote out the whole vision. I knew what I wanted to see happen. And my husband and I actually co-created a music school for the Symphony of Battle Creek. And I was 36. Was I 36? 34. How? I don't even remember. I think it was 36 when we opened the doors. Like it was amazing. It was just amazing. So dream big, write down what feels like impossible, even for your health. If anybody would have told me I would have healed my eczema in 8 weeks after 35 years of this disease on my hands, I would have said, that's impossible. I've tried everything. But yet, when I used pressure free on myself, when I stopped the release of stress hormones, my fingers cleared, my stress acne went away, my breast tissues changed, my behaviors changed. I became far more patient, far more happier. So when people say, I really want to feel happier, I'm like, you're in the right place. You're in the right place because these stress hormones cause you to not feel good. You get a hit of dopamine, so you might feel on high for a little bit. That's that adrenaline rush. But then you hit the wall, you hit the crash. So you're on a constant roller coaster. I'd love to help people get off that roller coaster. So I wish you a super pressure-free day, and I will see you tomorrow.